I'm Fadza.
I'm Dylan.
And welcome to the podcast where we discuss the things we love,
The things we hated,
and the things that made us say,
what in the noughties? Hi, Fadzi.
Hello, Dylan.
This is quite the occasion. In case you don't know, because maybe you're listening to it through your normal avenues, but we are recording this episode.
Scary.
I know, this is so scary. So Charlene, thank you for the suggestion, and you can stop telling us to record it and put it on YouTube, because we're doing it now, hopefully, fingers crossed, if everything goes the way it could be. It's going to be really awkward if people search for this video and there's nowhere to be seen.
Yeah. We are already on our second take.
Yeah, we are. Well, technically third take now, because,
Yeah.
but it's fine. These things happen. We'll get better and better and better. But yes, amazing and monumental. So if you're not watching us, and you can watch us if you go onto our YouTube, which will probably be What in the Noughties, What in the 00S, and you can find us there and see our beautiful smiling faces.
Yep. I can no longer check Twitter during the episodes anymore.
Yeah, I can no longer
attempted to check my phone, but I was caught.
And that is why we had to. She checks her phone and it messed up all the audio. So we
yeah.
But I also can no longer. Sometimes I do this thing where I'll just like push my chair back and just be rolling around in the room. But I can no longer do that. I've got to stay engaged the whole time because people can be watching our faces. It's intimidating.
I know.
Well, anyway, how have you been?
I am on the up, Dylan.
Oh my gosh, that's so. I think that is the first time you've had a positive response to me saying that question.
No, I know. It's been a tough several months. I think not even like
few weeks.
Few months. Like
2020 got a little bit scary in some points.
It actually did. I thought I was going to get admitted at some point.
Oh gosh, no. 2020 was a year of high highs and low lows. Given how low we are, the lowest of the lowest. Sorry, don't want to trigger.
I don't know if you are noticing, you keep saying 2020.
Oh, I mean 2022. I don't know. 2020 to 2022 was just one blur for me.
You're still stuck in pre-COVID times.
Honestly, pre-COVID times isn't that good for me. I don't think so. But also, I'm on the up as well, so it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I did get a So my job is It's a very top secret situation, so I can't talk about it. But I have passed to the final stage of my job, so I should have a start date coming soon.
Congratulations are in order.
Like
Congrats.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And it's been a rough road, so a very long journey. So then the other thing is I've also I'd been applying to jobs to tide me over because the finances are running very low, and I was really nervous about that. So I literally cried about it because I was like, "There's no one wants me." Even though I probably should have given it longer to marinate. I only applied for them last week, but I was like, they would contact me within 2 days if they really wanted to. Anyway, then between yesterday and today, I've actually had 3 job interviews that I've been invited to. So now it's the opposite dilemma of do I go? It's
people want you. You're the belle of the ball.
I know.
Take my pick.
Yeah, it's a cheeky Iceland job, a cheeky Morrison's job in the canteens, though. It's not working on the main bit. And then the last one is a broadband person, so I'll be on the phone.
Hello. You've got through to broadband, whatever. Yeah, no, I don't think that working those type of phone jobs. My mom used to have a job like that where she worked in customer service, and she was like, "Yeah, they're not fun." Because I try my best whenever I call things like that, because I'm well aware whoever I'm talking to isn't the problem. But I'm like, who else am I meant to
Yeah.
Frustrations. I've never like obviously shouted at someone, but it's the most frustrating thing in the world when the person just cannot help you, and it's not even their fault.
Yeah, it is really hard. I
Mm.
think that's why they have such a high turnover. But yeah, I could
People
do
just
it for a
don't
cheeky
use-
check for like
Yeah.
a couple of weeks. I
If
don't
the
need to
check's
stay
big
there
enough.
forever. Yeah, I pay for a good time, not a long time. So
Just it's a little bit in the summer fun, in the summer pot.
exactly.
While you wait for the other job, then yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, so I'm thinking of doing that because they say the start date would be the 13th of Feb, so around the corner.
Oh,
And they pay every 2 weeks, so I'm like, yes.
yeah. Gosh, I wish more. Actually, I wish. Yeah, I know. I wish more places did that, but I understand that would be so difficult for like big organizations to pay you more frequently than a month.
They should still though. I saw
I
this
mean,
one
yeah,
thing. I saw this one article that was talking about how the reason why they pay you monthly is to convince you that you're being paid more than you are.
that's probably true, to be honest.
Because it's like it doesn't. If you were being paid £9.50 an hour and someone gave you like £9.50 an hour, you'd be like, I'm not doing this anymore. But if someone
Yeah.
gives you at the end of the month 1,000 and something, then you're like, oh, it's actually not bad, you know?
Yeah, and I think also it breaks down, especially if I got paid like £9.50 an hour, then I'll be like, is it worth me staying an extra hour just to get that £9? No.
Yeah,
Whereas
exactly.
it's like, oh no, I'm thinking about the end game where if I work a whole shift, if I work like 3 extra shifts, and I get a bigger lump sum of money. But yeah, I think that
Yeah,
person tapped into it, definitely.
it's
Gosh, down
true.
with capitalism.
I know. Very
Ban
true.
it all!
But at the
Ban
same
it all or
time,
give me a sugar daddy, one of the two.
I know, like, pay me more, but like, yeah, burn
Yeah,
it to the ground at the same time.
yeah. But I mean, if I get a sugar daddy who's like an oil tycoon, my lips is it. My lips are sealed. I'm so sorry,
Mind
Greta.
your
Oh,
business.
I'm so sorry, sweetie. I'll donate some of his money happily to some
Yeah.
causes. But it's gonna be a little bit hard to reach me when I'm in Bora Bora and my friend's off.
Gosh. I read a romance once that he was like, his dad was like, basically had oil money. And he was like, basically, that's what the dad, like, it was oil money. And he was a billionaire
Yeah.
by that virtue. And then the dad was basically planning to like build whatever it is on indigenous land, and then he falls for like one of the main protester girls there,
Okay.
but he's meant to be like green and like all this stuff, but he's still a capitalist. So the whole time I read it and I was like, oh, but you're still a capitalist, like it's, I don't know why introduce those conversations into a romance, because now I'm going to think about it and it's just not going to be like, it's not romantic when you outwardly say you're a capitalist.
Yeah.
Just say you're a billionaire. Like, we don't need to
Literally,
like
it's
bring in
fine.
politics. No, exactly. And I was like, oh, well, I can't.
I'm trying to suspend my belief here, all right?
No, exactly.
And slapping his biggest flaw in my face is not going to help.
And it's so funny because my taste is questionable. I will read a lot of things, but an open capitalist, I'm like.
The fact that that's where you draw your line, knowing some of the stuff that you've read, that's where you draw your line, is very confusing to me. But
I read a spider romance, and it was really good, guys. It was really good.
A spy romance.
Spider. It was.
Let's
really
move on to the topic of the week. No, we're done. I don't even want to. So, for this week, this is our first time that we're doing one of our new episodes, which is a deep dive. And the deep dives for this season are reality TV shows, specifically strange and weird competition reality TV shows. And this episode, we are doing Shattered.
Mm-hmm.
Which, do you want to explain what it is, Fadzi? Just very briefly.
Basically, it's a show about 10 people who go without sleep over the course of a week. It's about 7 nights, 8 days, basically.
Yeah.
And the aim is to win 100,000. So that's what's at stake. But then every single time someone even takes like a 10-second nap, £1,000 is knocked off that 100,000. So they have to keep each other awake until the very end of the challenge. It's not one of those where it's like whoever falls asleep first thing.
Yeah.
So
I
they
think that's
have
a very smart. That was really smart because it means that like you're not incentivized to try and sabotage your other
Yeah,
housemates.
no,
Which could
true.
have also been very interesting, but I feel like they would not have been able to go with the this is for an experiment angle that they really, really heavily
Yeah.
pushed to try and justify why they were doing this.
Yeah, that's very true. It was very, yeah, and at the same time, they've got these daily challenges that they do just throughout the
Mhm.
day. Some of them have the aim to make you fall asleep, and then other
Yeah.
challenges have the aim to, like, one person is eliminated at the end of every night. So
Yeah.
there will be a challenge throughout the day, but you don't know which one it is. And then at the end of the day, that's used to eliminate one person.
Yeah. So it was it's a very strange concept. Would you have done the show?
No.
No, I would not have done it either. Because one thing about me, if I don't get enough sleep, like I'm not the kind of person that needs a lot of sleep. I think after like a day or two of not sleeping, I'm gonna get nasty. I'm
Yeah.
gonna get so rude. I'm gonna get so disgusting. Oh my
Mm.
god. I'm gonna be the meanest person you've ever met. Especially because I don't know if you noticed, but like in the mornings I don't speak for like the first hour or two because I can't handle it. I can't handle like being freshly woken up. So I'm just imagining just like that sensation, but for like a week with
No,
people that
you
I don't.
are silent in the
Mm.
mornings.
I really hate because my parents or my dad specifically is the exact opposite of me. Like he is the most energetic when he wakes up in the morning. And the amount of times that I'll come downstairs and have breakfast, like, hi Dylan, good morning, how are you doing? Yada, yada. I'm like,
Is your
I'm
dad
gonna
ever not peppy? He's a very peppy man.
Um, that is so interesting. You think that? Whenever, like, people's outside perception of my parents, I think also because obviously I've known them for a long time, shockingly.
Yeah.
And I see them at most hours of the day. I'm like, your perception of like when you meet my parents when they're on is very different from like what they're like. I remember my dad took me to his work. He's like in the bedroom next to me, and I'm sure he can hear every word I'm saying. But I've said this to him before. But I remember he took me to his old office that he used to work at in London. And when we stepped in, I was so shocked because my dad was like the most popular person in the office. And he was like walking around like, hey, Carol! Oh my God, hi, how are you today? And everyone was coming around like, oh, Elliot. I was like, I came home and I was like, I don't know who that man is at the office, but that is not the Elliot that
I'm dying.
I was so shocked. But yeah, he's very peppy in the morning. I remember there was like a time, like literally in like November, where we had to share a hotel room. His alarm went off. I'm not joking. You know that scene in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory when Charlie gets the golden ticket and the grandpa, who's been asleep for years, like hops up out of bed. That's how my dad jumped up when his alarm came off. And he was singing and whistling, and I was like literally there in bed just shaking, just like this can't be real life. This can't be.
No, I'm the absolute opposite of that in the mornings.
Same. I literally can't speak for like the first 2 hours. I'm like, oh, okay.
I really struggle not to get really like aggressive and angry when someone wakes me up. Like I get really angry.
I feel like we're skipping ahead here, but like, you know, at the end of the show when they wake them up, I was like, if they did that to me, someone's getting hurt.
Yeah.
Someone's getting hurt.
Yeah.
'Cause just to let you guys know, we're gonna get there eventually. But at the end of the competition, in order to win, it was like the last person to fall asleep in a dark room. And then once they were all asleep, I think they gave them a couple hours and they woke them up. And the way they woke them up was by just turning on the lights and be like, "Time to get up, guys!" While flashing cameras in their face. I was like, someone, a PA would have lost a tooth that day, unfortunately.
I'd be fuming, literally.
No, I'd be so mad. I'd be so
But when I
mad.
was, it's weird though, because when I was younger, I had like really bad death anxiety. So it was like, it's actually quite bad. But like,
Yeah.
and to a degree, I still have it, but not anywhere near the way it
Mm.
was. But when I was a kid, that meant to me that I had to stay up for as long as possible every single day. and like get as minimum sleep as possible in order to survive. Like nobody told me that you actually die from a lack of sleep. So I was like, I just need to like use up as many of the hours I've got left in life. So I'd stay up. I'd wake up at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning all the time and just watch like MTV for hours, like shows I didn't even care about, but
No wonder you know
like,
so much about so many random shows.
Yeah, I wasn't even allowed, but I would watch like that 70s show and like just all the ones that my parents would not allow me to watch during the day. It wasn't even for fun. It was just because I was so scared about like running out of hours before I die.
Oh my god.
So younger me would have done this.
Sounds like she would have, yeah. It really does. If you were on the show, what would your strategy be for staying awake?
Well, I think Claire had the best strategy, which we'll get to. Yeah, we will get to in a bit. But I think I would do something similar to her, and it would more be about like focusing on pain in my body, like causing myself pain to keep myself awake, or like tensing, because I think when you're relaxed, then you fall asleep. What about you?
I think I would be trying to engage my brain as much as possible. Because I find like with like the pain stuff that rarely ever works for me, because I'm just thinking about when I was in lectures and I'd be falling asleep like how Chris did most of the time, but we'll get into that as well. But I like even like pinching myself and stuff like that rarely ever works. So I think that, and I also don't think that I would be like, I would never do anything strenuous. Like, you know how some people like jumping around the room and be like, yeah, I was like, I would be mute and silent the whole time. Like the whole time I'd just be sat. Yeah, conserving my energy as much as possible.
Yeah,
definitely that would have been my strat. So do you want to get into, so we watched the first episode and the last episode of the show, so we can give you like an overview of like what the intro was like and what the ending was like and how the show ended. So do you want to talk us through what happened in the episodes, and then I'll jump in with my thoughts here and there.
Yes. Well, firstly, I will introduce you to the characters that we have.
Yes. That was going to be my as well.
Yes. So we had Chris, first of all. He was very competitive. He was also a student. Very cocky.
Chris did my nut
going into it. Yeah. And then we had Dean, who was like the London boy, also competitive and quite cocky, but he also quite dim from the looks of it. No judging. He didn't really say anything that made me think that, but he kind of just made me think that. It just didn't look like there was a lot going on up there. And then we had Claire, who was a mother, Claire M, who was a mother and a cornrow queen.
Oh my god, we're going to get onto the cornrows, but my first note was, I like Claire, and then later on, Claire, not the cornrows! And I just know Selma did them. I know she did, and
I know. 100%. That's the thing. It wasn't Claire's fault.
Different time, I guess.
Yeah. And then we had Craig, who works in a telling shop, and he wanted to be there until the end. So that was it, really, for Craig.
I can't really remember Craig, to be honest.
No, I vaguely remember him. It looks kind of similar to Chris. That was the thing. So I get.
Okay. I think I know who you're talking about then.
Yeah, and then there was Jonathan, the psychiatrist, and he's also private school educated, a little bit posh, nerdy, kind of awkward, but also like a silent assassin. And then we had Jimmy, who's ex-forces. Also, they said he was affectionately provocative. What does that mean?
I don't know. And they're like, we're going to be watching out for that. And I was
exactly.
I was like, what do you mean by that?
That sounds a bit not good. Yeah. That sounds a bit.
Yeah.
Is what that sounds like. But this is no slander towards Jimmy if you're listening somehow.
Yeah. I really will listen to this. Oh my god, if you're on Shattered and you're listening to this, oh my, please get in touch with us. Would love to.
Yeah. Dean, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean what I said about you.
And the backpedaling begins.
I was joking. And then there was Ellen, the air hostess, who likes to do. Who was also like, she does stupid things without realizing, and that does come to fruition in the first episode, literally.
Yeah.
It's true. And then there was Salma, who was a mother and a fitness coach, and she was already tired within the first 5 minutes. So
No, literally, she turned up tired.
it just was not looking good for her.
I was like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here, Salma?
She was nodding off within like the first 10 seconds of the show. So I was like, ugh. But she was the only black representation that we got. Oh no, there was.
I was like, obviously, it's Black
like,
History Month, Black American History Month.
I know. I was like, please.
You know, for the culture. What did I put down? I said, Selma, you got to do it for the culture, or something like that.
I know. There was Dean as well. I forgot about him, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was Claire S, who was a police cadet and quietly determined, is what they described her as. And finally, we had Lucy, who was a student who liked to party and suck her thumb when she was tired.
Yeah. Gosh, do you know what? My first note that I wrote down about all these people was, were people older in the 2000s? What was going on? Every time someone said their age, I went, damn. Damn. And Claire, was it Claire? No, it was Ellen was the only one that was just like, I don't think I look my age. I was like,
yeah,
but no one else here does.
Yeah.
Like when Claire said she was 19, I went, oh!
It's true.
It's like, oh my god. And the other thing that I noticed was like, why was everyone like, it just seemed like their fashion once again. This is going to be my only comment on fashion. I know I comment on it all the time. But why was it just that clothes were ill-fitting? That was just the fashion statement for everyone. No one's clothes. They were either too big or awkwardly a little bit too small. It was so confusing.
It was.
Gosh, I'm scared now. It's because I just realized people can see what I'm wearing. Gosh, I think I look fine, but
you look fine. But yeah, because
like, now you're like, I have the luxury of like looking like absolute crap and being like, why the fuck would you wear that?
Yeah. No, I get
now
it now.
People can take screenshots and be like, well.
Yeah, but who really cares about the people from a 2000s show?
I do.
They're
if
like,
you're listening to this on the show, I care about you. And
I care about you in the sense of like, let's interview you, but I just mean as in like, do they have stands?
No. They also, because I read a bit of an interview, and one of them were like, yeah, the hype died down after like 2 weeks, and then they were able to down 2 weeks, because like obviously, like what social media was around, like Facebook and MySpace.
Yeah, you don't have the promo to drag it out.
Yeah, and I'm realizing the show, by the way, it was like a lot of it was kind of like Big Brother format in the sense that like the end of the show portion was live, so it just meant that the show must have come out in a week. Like a new episode every day.
Yeah, that's why Dan kept saying, join me at 11 p.m. Join me at
so it was like I'm like, it must have been just like more of a flash in the pan, because it's not even like this was dragged out over like a couple months and like, let's watch this like once every Monday. So
okay, yeah. So my first question for you, Dylan, is who was your initial favorite? And I will tell you mine.
My initial favorite was Claire M, the Welsh Top. I something about her energy, and obviously Salma, but something about Claire M's energy I liked pre-cornrows.
Interesting. See, my favorite was Jonathan from initially.
I think I found Jonathan a little bit annoying.
Yeah, the one with glasses.
Yeah, the psychiatrist.
Yeah, I liked him because I was like, he's just like a quiet, nerdy guy. He didn't really say anything. And I liked the fact that he just sat there and observed everyone.
I don't know. I was just,
and
I thought it was going to be
like,
good.
oh, Jonathan's going to be gone soon.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
That's what I loved, because I was like, even when he got the
same with
Chris in the anyway, let me not get ahead of myself. But
yeah. Oh my god! At one point in the voiceover, they were calling the people doing the experiment guinea pigs. I was like, "This is a bit much, guys. Come on." They're
No,
like,
I
"The
don't like
guinea
that.
pigs have been awake for," and I was like,
Yeah. Which kind of leads me on to the way that the show starts, which it starts off as a documentary of sorts.
Yes, I was thinking. I was like, "This is so random."
Yeah. For the first half hour, it was literally just explaining the reasons you need sleep and going into like the famous accidents revolving around a lack of sleep, raising awareness, I guess. But at the
Before
same
they
time,
subject a group of people to this.
it was really weird. They really tried to go for the scientific experiment angle.
That was my takeaway. That I was like, I think the show would have been more entertaining if they like tried stop pretending like they were doing this for science, because you're not.
Mm,
But at the same time, I don't think the show would have got made full stop if they hadn't done that.
yeah,
Because what they were doing was torture.
it was. Because they then explained that a lack of sleep has a similar effect to being really paralytic drunk. So
Yeah.
you become less focused. Eventually, you become paranoid. You have speech issues. And then they mentioned something about your libido. It went up or down. And they did talk about that, refer to that like a couple of
Like at
times.
the end, yeah.
Yeah,
I
when
was
they were
like,
like,
what's happening?
so it doesn't make your libido. I think they were hoping
Yeah.
someone would tag that. They just wanted more like.
Oh my god, I didn't even think of that as like an aspect of the show. But to be honest, if I was on that show, that would be like number 100 on my list of things to think about.
On that show, like you would not.
Like, no way would you
Get
want to tag
frisky.
anyone while you're just like.
Yeah. That surely that just would make you more tired. There's no way that you're like, oh, I'm awake now.
Exactly, that's what I'm thinking. I was like, there's no way that would help you stay awake in any way, shape, or
No.
form. That's all that I would be thinking about. I'm sorry, money over everything.
Yeah.
And the thing that got me was like when they were showing the lab, and I was like, oh, at least they've made it safe. And they're like, yeah, we've got cameras everywhere. That is including the bathroom. I was like, I don't know if you should be proud of that, guys.
Yeah.
This feels unethical to me.
It really, and it watched like media studies project. Like I used to cut and paste similar type of things at school. It was literally that energy.
I think like A-levels media studies though.
Yeah,
this could have been someone's A-levels media studies.
Well, like GCSE, yeah, we were doing pretty similar stuff. So I don't know about that.
Okay, all right. Gosh.
And then it cuts to randomly they just start peeling potatoes, and there's like a random angry man.
Sergeant guy screaming
like,
at them.
Don't do it! Don't do it!
Oh my god! I was like, I know for a fact that would have actually made me more awake because I would have been so annoyed. I don't like people yelling at me. I specifically don't like a certain type of man yelling at me, and he fit the bill.
I really don't understand why he was angry. Like,
no,
what was that meant to be serving?
I think he was an ex-military sergeant person. So like this was like he was trying to like do like military drills with them, and be like, I don't know. It was just really annoying to me. I hate when people do stuff like that. I'm like, you're actually just being jarring right now.
Yeah, no, it's true. And then they got made to watch a presentation on triangles.
That was so funny, actually.
I think that is when Salma fell asleep. No, it wasn't Salma. It was
Chris. No, it was Chris. Oh, Chris. So annoying.
Chris always fell asleep. First of all,
I don't know. I obviously I didn't watch the whole show, but all the times when someone fell asleep, it was always Chris, and it happened very rarely, which shocked me.
Yeah. So I think.
Oh my god, we didn't explain that concept. That if you do close your eyes, you get £1,000 taken off for every 10 seconds your eyes are closed. I don't know if we said that. If we did, apologies.
Yes, I think I did say it, but I think.
My bad.
Yeah, so anyway, my notes are thorough, Dylan. So
yeah, I think they are. They're a lot more thorough.
First side eye of the live.
Literally, oh my gosh, yes, we've seen the side eyes. If you're listening and you want to see it, it's at about like 29 minutes and like 30 seconds, around that point, depending on how we cut this, actually.
Yeah, whatever. So they call it like an illegal sleep. So he did have an illegal nap of 20 seconds. The others, I don't know why they didn't wake him up quicker, because it's like past 10 seconds or something. So, but they were all just looking at him. They were like, "Oh, he's
They're
asleep."
all like looking and
Like,
then like pointing at
yeah.
like him being asleep. I was like, guys, this is all of your bags that's getting messed up
No,
right now.
exactly. So shake him awake
I would have
before.
been like, Chris!
Exactly. Very weird.
Oh my god, then he
But
had the nerve to pretend like he wasn't asleep when he woke up. He was like, what? I was like,
that's
you.
Chris's consistent issue throughout the show. And I
Yeah,
think in
it's
this challenge, I would have fallen asleep because it reminds me of lectures, and I used to fall asleep
no, yeah,
all the time.
yeah. I
Like
think I would have.
any
I don't think I would have done well at the
boardroom.
show though.
Yeah.
I genuinely think I would have just got kicked off because I would have just been asleep for most of it. I would have got to like
Yeah.
dating like, why am I doing this?
Because they start the show and they've already not had sleep. So it's like, by that point, I'd be like, yeah, I'm out. I would be Selma.
It'd be like we're starting with 10 contestants, but we're starting the show with 9 because one stepped out after 17 hours. I'd be like, I
Oh
don't
my
know, guys.
goodness.
I just want to sleep. You know that clip of that girl in America's Top Model? It's like, I don't know. I don't want to be here anymore. I
Yeah.
don't know. I just kind of done and then just walks off.
Yeah.
That'd be me.
No, literally. And then there was a random scene of Dermot. What was he even doing? I don't remember, but that is a consistent theme.
He was staying there. Oh, it was Dermot was showing that he tried to do it for like 2 days, like stay awake for 2 days.
Oh,
And
I
then he
think
was
it's
just
too
showing.
much Dermot. That was my
He was showing how much. I don't know because
biggest critique.
Dermot was kind of.
No. Red card. Red card. No.
I've never.
I do not accept that
I
one.
was looking at Dermot like, okay.
So annoying. I was like, it's not about you, Dermot. Why do we keep having whole 15
Me
seconds?
personally, I didn't mind.
It was giving me Stacey Dooley energy.
I don't know. Hey, Danny. He's aged well as what I was thinking. Anyway. Yeah. Dermot's bit was a bit random, but obviously I didn't mind too much. But carry on.
Then they started counting peas. At this point, Chris, his true character shows, because he starts giving people random numbers. He was like 35, 46, 92, just to throw people off so they'd forget their number.
My note is she just put, oh, I know they hated Chris. I know everyone hated him.
He was a dick.
He was so annoying.
But I also think he kind of made the show what it was. Like, he was
there. He was like the only like personality though.
Yeah, exactly.
So I feel like everyone else was kind of just there. They didn't catch my attention quite as much.
No, and
I think gave me something to talk about and write notes about. Most of my notes about him actually.
Oh. At some point, he does actually say, if I'm gonna do it, I may as well do it. So, like, I'm gonna do it with my chest. So I think he was about like.
I kind of wish, because that was another note I had. I was like, I wish they had a cast of like characters, as opposed to, because they really vetted the people. They really vetted them so that it was only like serious contenders, and I think because of that they didn't really vet for personality. But I'm just thinking, imagine if it was like us, you, me, like Charlie, Leanne. Like, imagine that. I'm just thinking about people that would actually get nasty as they get more and more like tired, and just watching them fight and be hallucinogenic. But that wouldn't have fit into the whole. This is a experiment arc they were trying to go for.
Imagine if it'd been like Gemma Collins. She'd actually have given up.
Oh my god.
Well, like,
do it for charity because it's like.
Yeah.
Sleep, because this is gonna be really bad for your image if you just say, "Oh, I can't be bothered anymore."
Yeah, that would have been really funny.
That would have been so good. Gosh, I want them to bring the show back. I'm not gonna lie, but they obviously never will.
No.
So they finished.
It's no way for that one.
Yeah.
And then also on top of that, within the mix, they do daily tests, just like random ones. I don't know what that was, but yeah. So then what happens with the peas situation is, at the end of the day, they go into front of a live audience. The people who failed the tests. What were the tests?
They're like attention tests. So it's like you click the squares that light up on like a 16 grid page, and then the ones that I can remember seeing was also there was like you had to click whether or not the word. So if it was like the word yellow, if the color matches the word. So if it's yellow and the word is yellow, then you click match. If it's yellow but it's green, then you click don't match. And so you have to do that. So the people that got the lowest in all those like kind of tasks.
Yes, it was the 4 people that got the lowest scores that had to go out. So the people who got the lowest scores were Claire M, Ellen, Jonathan, and Chris. They got the lowest scores, and then so once they got out into this live audience with Dermot, which is kind of weird that there's like a live audience right next
I know, and it also just felt like it was apparently it was filmed in a warehouse. They just sat in a cold warehouse.
It was just 2 different vibes of a show. I don't like the fact that they.
It was trying to be like, I think it's done by the same people that do Big Brother, but obviously they probably had a much smaller budget. So I think they were trying to emulate that feeling of like when they walk out, but really it was just like them walking out of a shoebox into just a cold warehouse where there was some cardboard pillars.
Yeah.
With no direction. Every time someone walked out of there, they looked lost and they didn't know what they were doing there.
At all. So then the challenge at the end of it was basically you had to guess the amount of peas that, like the number, when they were counting peas, you had to give your estimation of how many peas were inside that tin, however many you counted, basically. That was a really bad explanation, but basically that was it. Everyone had different numbers and they had to give their number, and then whoever was furthest away from the number would be eliminated from the show. So initially it was Claire M who guessed 21 out of her pea count, which was like, okay. We didn't really know.
Bearing in mind that before this, Chris got 2 away.
Yeah.
Which pissed me off, actually, because I was like, of course he was good at it.
Yes. So then after that, bless Ellen. Ellen, you know, the one who earlier had said that she sometimes is a bit silly and she just doesn't, she was 694.
It was so funny.
I think that's
they turn on their whiteboards, and then at the bottom of the screen they have the actual value of the peas, and then they have the person's estimate. And it was like she put down like 3,000 and something, and the actual thing was 2,000 below. And I was like, oh, Claire.
Yeah, I was like, it's over for you, Claire. Oh gosh, but we were like a little bit hoping, but also Jonathan was my favorite and he was last, so I was like, see you, Claire. Hopefully.
Yeah. And then Jonathan only got it 2 away.
Yeah, so. It so sucks because the women did the worst in that challenge, and I was like, what happened to girl power?
Honestly,
that's not the girl power.
I was laughing so hard. I was like, I didn't want it to go to bed. I didn't need her sleep. But...
No, because she was like, I just get bored and I just started looking at other people and what they were doing. and I was like, that's so real, because that would be me. That's exactly what I would do.
Also, you also need to bear all this in mind, that these people are like on hour number 50 of not even closing their eyes for 10 minutes. So like this was a hard ask.
Yeah, it was. I don't know how the others got 2 out, like Chris and John.
I know. I was so surprised.
Insane. Yeah. Insane. And then at the end, Ellen said that she wants Jimmy to win because Jimmy is her best friend in there and he's such a nice guy, blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of how... Oh, and she said that she was depressed and she was going to have sex on the beach.
Yeah.
And that's the vibe. That is exactly me.
Honestly, I think that would have been me. I would have been like, I'm really annoyed, actually. I think I get pissed.
I'm the exact type of person who would be on any show and be eliminated first, and I'd be like, well...
That's embarrassing.
Yeah, it would be like that episode of It's Always Sunny where it's like,
yes. Can we turn that down? Oh God.
Yeah, that's the end of the first episode. I
I'm not gonna lie, I generally enjoyed it. I enjoyed the premise, I enjoyed the concept.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask you. Would you watch the show?
Yeah, I would. If I had more time this week, I think I would have watched more episodes than just the first and the last.
See, I don't think I would have watched it. But
Okay, I also would like to add the caveat that I watched it on 1.25 time.
yeah.
I couldn't. Yeah, I was like, this show is a little bit
But,
too.
like, if it had been on live TV coming out, would you be watching it?
I think I would have watched the first few and then watched the last episode.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think I would have watched the first one because I was interested, and then yeah, I think I would have watched it. I would have.
See, I think for me, the show just didn't know what it was, so I probably wouldn't have watched it. And I also think when they put them through all those boring challenges, how does that
It's boring to
make
watch.
good TV?
It's
That was
boring
my
to watch.
everything.
I was reading the comments and someone was like, number one, the biggest challenge of the show is staying awake while watching it. I was like, you got them. And then somebody else was like, surprisingly, watching a group of people try not to fall asleep is very boring. And I was like, yeah.
I think that's the thing that they didn't really think about clearly, because
I think they thought people were going to be running around the room, like acting crazy, like trying to smash things and like having hallucinations, but it was just a lot of people sat around yawning and having boring conversations.
Yeah. Well, actually, shall we cut to episode?
Yeah, I cut to the last
7,
episode. Last episode heated up a little bit.
Yeah, I think the final episode, that is an episode where I'm like, I would have watched that because they were like dynamic going on. So we cut to the final episode and it is Claire S, Jonathan, and Chris who remain. So I
couldn't believe that Chris made it.
Chris, I could.
No, because Chris was the one that was falling asleep all the time. Yeah, I was like, I can't believe Chris made it.
The main event, like I just knew, you know, when someone's like so delusional that it kind of wiped out for them.
Yeah, I know a couple Chris's. I also annoyingly, I had the realization. I was like, I think I would have probably ended up being friends with Chris because I know people in my life who are kind of like Chris.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, if I'm friends with them, it's not like I'm bitching about them. I will just be like, shut up.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm thinking of bad, but carry on.
I love him too.
No, we love you, Ben. It's just like this is the kind of thing I can see Ben being on, and he acting like that.
Yeah.
And him acting like that. Sorry.
Yeah. So then it's basically Jonathan has just been in another challenge with Jimmy and he won over Jimmy. So Jimmy's out, sadly. Claire is very giddy and still has loads of energy initially. And she says that she's been tensing her body to stay awake. So she like tenses her toes in particular and then like
to give herself
pain.
Yeah.
And then slowly releases, and then that's how she's like gives herself the energy to stay awake, which I was like,
she says that she specifically gives herself like spasms in her legs.
Woo!
So that like the pain jolts her awake, and I was like, this is getting crazy.
Yeah, I was like, this is a lot for a show. But yeah, and then they do Tai Chi for a bit, which I didn't really understand why.
Yeah, I didn't get that bit. Also, up until this point, they've only lost £3,000, which shocked me.
Yeah.
I was so surprised. Like now,
crazy.
the prize fund's gone from 100,000 to £97,000, and I was like,
yeah.
I genuinely thought it'd be down to like maybe the most I would have predicted was 80k.
Yeah.
Because people, like, bearing in mind in the first episode there was already one, so that means only 2 more times if people close their eyes in 7 days. I was like, that's really impressive, actually.
I think it was probably Chris, because I think they mentioned something about Chris having a hard time.
Having a breakdown. I was reading an interview, and we didn't watch all the episodes, so we don't know, but if you want to go back and watch them, because I think they might be interesting. But apparently, so it got to the point where they realized that they couldn't actually like let people stay awake for this long, because I think they realized it was like more dangerous than it would be entertaining. So then they started letting people have 45-minute naps.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris took one of those 45-minute naps and woke up, and then he started like hallucinating. He thought he was the Prime Minister of Australia, and he couldn't understand where he was, yada yada. And apparently
let's go back and watch that.
That was like when people were like, "Oh, Chris is going," because
because even later on when he does something else. Was it during the Tai Chi? I think it was during Tai Chi he started hallucinating again, where he was just like looking very vacant and seeing things, and he was like, whenever I get down, I start hallucinating. So very safe at all. Safe. It's quite disturbing, actually.
Yeah. To be fair, I think everyone was a lot saner than I thought they would be, because the conversations we heard, like, they were a lot more lucid than I would have expected from people that had been awake for as long as they had been. I was expecting them to like be like making fires on the floor and like talking like grunts and stuff.
True.
Obviously, I'm being facetious, but you know what I mean.
That's very true. We also had Jonathan. He said that he was using the power of manifestation in order to keep himself there. And I think Jonathan and Chris had similar approaches, just different ways of executing that. Jonathan was manifesting him already winning, but Chris was like saying it out loud.
Yeah.
And he was cocky out loud. And I think that was his tactic more than just his personality. I think he was purposely like, oh, I'm definitely going to win. I'm going to win now. Because that's the only way that he could keep himself in the game. Is my
like I can't go to sleep because I have to win. Like I'm winning. Yeah.
So yes, and then he volunteered to listen to the Triangle lecture, which is the same one from episode 1. So rinse and repeat. But his tactic to get through that was just like laughing.
To be fair, it was actually quite a good tactic. I felt really bad for the Triangle guy though. Number one, that he had to give this boring ass lecture twice in a week, and then number two, the second time he had Chris. Literally, Chris was like, I started making up different laughs and testing them out while he was talking, and I was like, this is so scary.
It was very, very funny.
Like all the angles of a triangle add up to 180. That's literally what Chris was doing. It was so scary.
And then Chris and Claire started playing games with each other, but then Claire, I think Claire's quite sneaky, to be honest, because she then went to Jonathan and she started slagging Chris off, and she was saying, oh, Chris is really annoying, he gets really cocky, and I don't like this, and I regret that he made it this far into the show. That's what she told Jonathan. And then Jonathan was like, oh yeah, like he does, but maybe that's just his way of doing things, kind of thing. But Claire was like, yeah, I don't like it this way. But it's like, girl, 2 seconds ago you were playing games with him, joking around him.
I even put Chris and Claire then like a raised eyebrow emoji when they were outside talking. And I was like, oh.
Yes. Well, then Claire starts getting tired. They do this. Chris then does the same test, whatever, the red, green, blue test. And he falls asleep again.
Oh my god, the funniest thing was after he fell asleep, because he fell asleep and then Jonathan was like, I think maybe you should get out of there now because you're just going to keep on falling asleep. And Chris, like, in his confessional, was like, Jonathan is the most selfish person I've ever met in my life. Did you hear the way he just spoke to me? Jonathan spoke in the like the nicest...
I thought Jonathan was a lovely, nice psychiatrist, but now
he's all about money. Him and Claire were literally outside, like, whispering, like, Jonathan is all about the money.
That was the thing that I was going to say. He calls him arrogant, and then they later like have this conversation, him and Claire, where they're basically like, I think Jonathan is the most selfish person I've ever met. He's like arrogant. This whole time, Jonathan's not said 2 words.
As we get close to the money, he's just here for the money. He's here for the money.
All Jonathan did was just stare vacantly into the distance on his own.
He's so calculating. He's manipulative. They called him manipulative. I was like...
Which was my other thing about Claire, because I was like, now why are you...
Of all people...
Now, you switched sides very quickly. Very, very quickly.
I was like, Claire, whose side are we on anyway?
And then she was like, they had this really big issue because Claire wanted to give the money to her grandma, which is very kind of her. That's what she was going to be doing with her 100k, like 97k, well, 96 at this point. But Jonathan said that he was going to use it on a holiday. On a holiday.
He said he's gonna buy a house abroad, and then Claire was like, in her confessional, she's like, I haven't been on holiday in years, and he wants to buy a fucking house.
They were like this public school boy who's they were really fuming about him, and I was like, oh,
I was like,
Cass Wars.
God.
No, but he was honest, and then also they then cut to these sleep experts on the outside who were with Dermot. And they were just discussing what was going on inside there. So they were saying that Claire had become obnoxious. No, not obnoxious. Sorry, Claire, if you're watching
I think
this.
those are your words. A little bit of projecting going on there.
Claire. I actually really did like Claire as a character.
So did I.
But I'm like, it adds value. It's nothing personal. I just mean the character on the show. She became anxious and paranoid. That's what they're saying. And they're also saying,
no, you can actually see. I felt like, have you ever watched like Yellow Jackets?
Yeah. No, I
like,
don't know why I said
okay, well, Yellow Jackets about like a show, this like high school female soccer team crash on an island. It's kind of like Lord of the Flies, but with like girls instead of boys.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, it's really, really, really good. I didn't finish it because I was watching it just before I was like going on a long haul flight, and I was like, this is a really bad idea, because a lot of it was about how the plane crashed. But I got those kind of vibes where like the episodes that I watched where like they also had like talking amongst each other and like turning on each other. That's like the vibes I was getting, where I felt like if this went on for a couple more days, I was like, something's gonna happen. Someone's gonna hurt someone.
No, I do think it was. With Claire, it was so obvious that it was the paranoia and anxiety.
Yeah.
Because it was literally everyone was against her. She was just now like, I hate all of you. Like,
Claire
changing her mind
twitching.
every 2 seconds.
There was a moment where like everyone like was just pacing around the room, and maybe because I had it on a sped up like playback, but like everyone was like twitching as like they were walking and talking. I was like, this is getting weird.
Yeah, and they basically said that Jonathan was isolating himself as a tactic. At this point, I really thought Jonathan would win, because I was like, he's conserving the most energy.
I accidentally spoiled it because I googled where are they now, and then it showed me the rankings.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I really did think that was going to be the way that it went. And then they called him like a spoiled brat private school boy. Yes. And then
do you know what also made me like Chris a little bit more towards the end, when Claire like was like, I don't know if I can do this, then Chris helped her out. That was actually that was like a nice moment where I was just like, Claire, no, this is just, she was like, you're gonna feel fine in an hour, like you're gonna feel fine. And this was like post them like calling Jonathan every other name in the book.
This is when they teamed up together.
Yeah.
But I will say though that Jonathan was a little bit sneaky, because he didn't really help Claire much. He's like, oh well, maybe you want to stay awake. And then he just kind of
like, away. Goodbye, baby. He was just stroking her hair like, you right there, Claire. Yeah, rubbing her back and like,
don't do it. The thing is, one thing I want to discuss is Claire went blind. She said she couldn't see anymore.
Oh my god, yeah. She was just like, she was like, when I look at the ground, there's like nothing there.
She was so sleep deprived, she was blind, guys.
This was crazy.
Actually, I don't think this would actually even be legal anymore.
I generally don't think it is. I generally think that there are laws in place to stop this from happening ever again. Apparently they got so many complaints when the show came out, because everyone was like, this is how people are tortured.
Yeah. No,
like, this is a form of torture. Like, why are you doing this to people for monetary gain? Which is why I think they really leaned in on it's an experiment thing, so they can be like, it's a study basically. But
and then my next note was, once again, Dermot gets way too much screen time, because why were they playing games with him? Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna stick beside him. I'm gonna stick beside him. I don't know. I'm thinking about the buzz cut. I don't know. That's the first time I've ever thought Dermot was, I don't know, had a little bit of something going on.
No. And then
God.
They basically, the last thing they had to do was they had to fall asleep. Not fall asleep. They had to lie in bed in the dark, and then whoever fell asleep first would win. And then they announced it in front of the crowd. Oh yeah, fell asleep last would win. And then they announced it in front. They took them all into the live crowd again, and then they announced that everyone's times, because it was all like timed, and they didn't know who fell asleep first or last, whatever. And yes, so third place was Jonathan, wasn't it?
It was hard to tell. I don't know who was third place, because Jonathan and Chris fell asleep 0.21 seconds of each other.
Yeah, so I think it was Jonathan who was third, is what they were saying.
Yeah.
And then it was Chris. And then it was Claire who was left as the winner.
So Jonathan and Chris fell asleep after half an hour. Claire fell asleep after 2
hours. And she was literally blind, like couldn't shaking. Like,
she stayed awake an hour and a half after everyone else.
I think it was the cold water that Chris put on her. He really sabotaged himself because he didn't.
No, yeah, he did. He messed up his own bag.
Yeah.
2 hours. And apparently I was reading an interview. There's a Guardian interview where they've interviewed Chris Clare, Jonathan, and then one of the lead producers on it. Apparently Claire had to get told to go to sleep.
What?
After an hour and a half, because they were like, Claire, go to bed. Because it was like 2 hours, and they were like, this is getting ridiculous. Like, you can't just be awake this whole time. They were like,
crazy.
Go to sleep. So I guess she must have known. Like, I don't know if they said go to sleep, Claire, but I think they said you guys can go to sleep now. So
because I thought it was a tactic when she was saying that she was blind, because I was like, oh, maybe this is how she's sabotaging everyone else. Maybe it was. You know, she'll never tell though.
Everyone also thought that she was well, they were like speculating in the interview I read that like she cheated a little bit, because they were like, oh, I think she made herself, because she needed to use the toilet was like another reason why she stayed awake so long.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, she was drinking too much before we went to sleep. And then like they were like, maybe it was kind of cheating that she was like tensing and like giving herself pain to stay awake. And I was like, well, you could have done that as well, actually, sweetie.
Well, they didn't showed you how to do it. Yeah.
And she showed you how to do it. So like, I don't know. But everyone agreed that it was fair and that she deserved it. But staying awake for 2 hours in the dark in a bed after not being in a bed for like a week and not sleeping properly for a week is crazy.
Yeah.
But I think in that scenario, I would have done well as well, because one thing about me, once I get into bed after being tired the whole day, I'm gonna stay awake.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be staring at that ceiling. Well, not staring at the ceiling. That's why I got an eye mask, so like it helps. But gosh. Yeah. My overall review of the show. So should we do the classics? The what did you like? What didn't you like? And then what was the weirdest bit?
Yes.
So,
Weirdest, worst. You can go first.
What my best was, I just kind of in a kind of crazy way, I liked the premise. I know it's bad, I know it was torture, but it's also like one of those things, it's kind of like a car crash where you can't look away, where I'm like, I'm really interested to see what happens. And that's what drew me in about the show. I really enjoyed. So that was like my best in a weird way.
Yeah, my best, I would say, was definitely the live crowd thing. I actually quite enjoyed that bit when they had the little challenges where it was like, how many peas were inside your jar? That was quite fun.
Yeah, it was actually. Those were really. That was the best element of the show. You're right, actually.
Yeah. So I think that's what I ended up enjoying the most. And
I think for my worst, I would say, I just think, number one, I don't think the episode should have been 50 minutes long. The show should have been half an hour at most. Yeah. There was so much fluff in the middle. I was like, there's nothing going on. We're just watching people yawn for like 20 minutes while Dermot talks to some specialist about sleeping. And I was like, come on now. We did. Come on now, Chelsea. We didn't need this.
Yeah.
And I also think they leaned into this an experiment a little bit too hard, but at the same time, I think if they hadn't leaned into it, then it would have been like insidious to watch. Rather than being like, this is unethical, it would have been like, oh, these are evil people.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so my worst moment was, I'm caught between Dermot and his existence throughout the show, because he really annoyed me.
My man. My best is Dermot, sorry, go on.
Oh my goodness. That, or I would say Claire winning, because although it was a win for the working class, I really wanted Jonathan to win. I think it would have been so good to have the silent assassin.
That's so funny.
I wanted the private school boy to win. Sue me. I wanted him to get his holiday home. Because it's his money, he can spend it how he wants. Like, why are they judging him for it?
I think I'm too much of a nice person because I don't think I could have got to the end of the experiment with those 3 people and then like not share my money. I don't know if maybe she
Yeah.
did, but I think I would have been
Maybe she
like,
did.
guys, I think we've all been through hell together, and I was like, I'll take like 3/4, and you two can take an eighth each.
Yeah, I felt bad for Chris because I think he was quite annoyed.
Yeah,
Because he was like,
I think Chris really thought he won. Like I think
yeah.
till the very end, I think he thought, oh, I've won this.
Like, what did they ask him? What was the last question when they said, "How did you make it through?" And he's like, oh, "I don't know, really." That was his response.
He was turned off. He
He's
was like,
I
I want
just
to go
did.
home.
Yeah.
I want to leave.
He was like, "This is over now."
Yeah, it's like I don't want to talk. Who are you? Get away from me, Derm.
Yeah.
My weirdest, and I think we're gonna have the same weirdest this week. The cornrows. I know we didn't talk about it. We didn't even see it happen because it wasn't in our episode where it
They
happened.
just like we're gone, then they appeared.
1 minute Claire M was fine. Next minute she had literally the same hairstyle that I have on my head right now. It was generally a jump scare. It was a jump scare.
It was. Although that actually is not my weirdest.
Is it not?
What's your no. I think my weirdest moment was the potato peeling. I just think that was really, so random.
It did not seem to fit the rest of the show, but I feel like this was a show they figured out while they were filming it.
I think the challenges in general were really random. Like, because why did they do Tai Chi? Like, it was very like there was no.
I don't think they thought it through well enough. But I think they were trying to do things that weren't. Oh, apparently a lot of things got vetoed. That was also what I was reading in the article. Like, apparently one of the things they wanted to do was like electric shocks and stuff like that.
Electric shocks.
Yeah, you know, like the electro pads for fun. For science.
That make anyone's like that is just like.
But apparently the contestants said no. They were like, okay.
I would say no to that as well because there's no point. Like, how is that going to make you fall asleep quicker or like that has no actual.
No, I think this show could have been so good. I think the only way they can do it is like limited sleep instead of like no sleep, having it be like. Okay, every night, whatever like the safest minimum amount of sleep, like 4 hours, get people to do that for like 2 weeks or something like that. And then have them do like physical challenges, like kind of like a total wipeout or like an assault course and stuff like that. Or get them to do like fun tasks and that's the whole episode. And don't do it live. I think that was my other like worst bit, like it being live. Yeah, I know. I just also think that it's too risky.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a way in our society now that they could get away with this. They barely got away with it in the 2000s, and that's saying something. That's saying something because some of the shows on this list are a bit.
Yes. Which. On to next shows that we've got lined up. What shows do you have lined up, Dylan? You're telling me first, actually, because I don't even know what the order is.
I know. I'm sorry. I was meant to send you a list, and I just never did because it looks like. It's so confusing in my notebook here, and I was too embarrassed to send a picture, and I never did. I never wrote it up. But the next show we're doing is The Moment of Truth, which I'm really excited.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this one. I think this one's gonna be really funny.
It will be really funny.
Yeah.
I've actually seen bits and pieces of that show, so I'm actually really excited.
I haven't watched any of it, but I'm excited to go into it. The basic premises for the show, guys, if you haven't, we mentioned it in our like intro episode, but in case you missed that, go listen to it. But if you don't have time, then basically it is someone will be put, I think, like on a lie detector, and then they'll get asked really difficult questions in front of their friends and family, and then for every answer that they say true, they get more money.
Yes, questions that will like are aimed to ruin their relationships with their friends and family. So yes, very messy as you can imagine. It does actually
so messy.
Get very messy.
So I'm so
tune in.
I'm so excited.
Definitely tune in.
Yeah, definitely. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
Yes.
I know it's a bit of a departure from what we've done last time, but I don't know about you, Fancy, but I think this was really fun.
I loved it. Yeah. And it was like our first live episode. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Same.
You kept my attention.
Yeah. No phone.
Yeah.
But I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to give us a review on whatever you're listening to. Or we're going to be on YouTube. Leave us a comment. Oh my god, this is going to be so embarrassing.
Comment.
But leave us a comment.
Yes. If you
comment and like. Yeah. Tell us what you think. And also be sure, go watch Shattered, guys. I think Skim through it though. Don't watch every minute of it. It's a bit.
No.
You can
Give the
miss
first
it.
half hour of the first episode and then
miss.
get introduced to the characters.
Yeah. Actually, get introduced to characters, and then I think later episodes just miss out the middle, like 20 or 30 minutes, because it's just it's not great. And also,
Dermot being his silly, goofy self.
Oh my god, he's so goofy. Ew, no. Actually, and I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and be like, ew, why did I think Dermot was? In a year's time, someone's gonna be like, so you like Dermot O'Leary? I'm gonna be like, what? Sorry, Dermot, I shouldn't laugh that hard at that. God. I mean, he's literally saying ew down there. It's not the worst that can be said. Anyway, sorry. If you enjoyed it, leave us a rating, 5 stars, preferably, but whatever you feel comfortable leaving. Leave us a like. Follow us on our socials, which is at What in the Naughties, at What in the 00s on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say.
Yes, and that's all I have to say.
Then, wow, I guess we'll see you guys next week for the moment of truth. Bye.
Exciting. Bye.